Alright, welcome to part 2. This is the hardware setup. At the very least, getting this ready to go, making sure it all works, and then installing PFSense on this machine, maybe even configuring the interfaces depending upon how long this video gets. I might do that in a separate video. I don't know. But let's start with this, because everything starts with the hardware. This is an identical machine to what is already in there, for the most part. I don't think the RAM is identical. I think this might have more RAM in it than that one does. Not that it matters. I'll end up upgrading the other one if it doesn't. So that's the thing. This should have 4 gigabytes of memory installed. It doesn't need that much. But other than that, it's pretty well the same. The only difference is this, because I don't have another single gigabit network card, so I'm stuck with this one, this dual gigabit, as opposed to a single gigabit and two 10-100s. So one of the sync interfaces will be on, or the sync interface will be on one of these ports, depending upon all of the other stuff. The one thing that you need to worry about is that the identifiers, EM0, EM1, XL0, whatever it happens to be, they need to be the same across both machines or state synchronization won't work properly. Now, you could debate the merits of this, and you can be like me and think that this is stupid, but that's the way that it is. There are ways around it. I don't really feel like dealing with that, so I'm going to just set this up that way. The one that shouldn't matter is the synchronization interface, since, I mean, it's not... Anyway, it shouldn't matter. It might, but it shouldn't. I guess we're going to find out. Either way. So, we're going to go ahead and fire this up. This power supply is not appropriate for this. This 460 watt, I don't even know if it works. It's one of the only power supplies I've got sitting around that's got a 24-pin power connector though. So, and it fits in this nicely. It's got the single SATA, which is all I need. And I mean, it's got all this extra wiring on it, but it should be good for this. Eventually the plan is to replace this with an 80 plus power supply, but I'm going to do that when I do the other one as well, because the other one needs one. It's got some crappy Cooler Master junk in it right now. So I'm going to put the cover on this, we'll power it up, make sure it still works, and then I can figure out where I can install PFSense, and maybe even figure out some of the stuff. Okay, it's hooked up. So we'll power that up. It's configured for automatic power on. Let's watch these post LEDs. See if it actually completes a power on self-test. I got a green thing over here. I ought to go into the BIOS and just make sure that everything is set up properly. That's what I'll do. I didn't put the DVD in the drive anyway, which ejects, so that's good. So we'll do that. Now you got 4 gigs of RAM. Should be good enough. That's all set up properly. That should be set up properly. Yeah, I don't want to set that to off, because it's going to be hot in there, so that's a thing. That should be good. We'll make sure that's in good shape. My hard drive is detected. 250 gig drive seems like a waste, but I don't have any more small drives laying around. Could probably use an IDE drive. I'm not going to. We'll just make sure that everything here is set up the way that it's supposed to. Everything should be, yeah, that should be set up correctly, boot properly. Alright. So we'll go ahead and we'll save that, and we'll see what the system does. In response, that display is half off the screen. That's really annoying. Right, it should be booting to the CD, and it's not. Select CD-ROM boot type. Does it matter? It shouldn't matter. Alright, we'll see if it'll actually start up. Okay. It's really slow. Now I'm going to pause this and wait for it to boot. Can't load. Okay, that's dumb. My optical drive is dead. Alright, well, let's see if this blows up. Tried changing the optical drive, made no difference. So I guess this thing just will not boot to a CD. It seems to want me to select CD-ROM type, which is nonsense. There's only one type of CD-ROM, so... whatever. And of course, this is the slowest thing ever, even though it's now coming from a USB stick. And this isn't exactly an old USB stick either, so I really don't know what this is all about. It's just stupid. So I'll come back in 400 years when it's actually finally booted. Alright, now this is an older version. Shouldn't need that. Should only be one disk. MBR should be fine. It's a small enough disk. ADA something. ADA 0. Yes. That's what I'm going to use. I don't know what's on that drive. I really don't care. That should be okay. We'll hit finish. Commit. And we'll see whether or not it works. Crap, there we go. So now it's installing. And that should be that. Alright, so the answer to this question is no. I don't really care. So we will reboot the system. Take out that USB stick once it's done. And now it should actually boot to the hard drive if everything actually worked. So you can watch this process. Because it's a server motherboard, it takes forever to post. Designed for the Intel Pentium 4 processor. I'd like one that actually uses Xeons, but this one does not. It might, actually. I don't really know off the top of my head, but I certainly don't have any Xeons that it supports. We'll just boot it. Should be fine with booting without a keyboard, because it used to be a file server in there anyway. And the other one is certainly okay with it. So I guess we'll find out what it thinks of the network stuff. Various interfaces should not be configured. This should be really fun. La-ti-da. I don't know why this takes this long. It's finally booted. Alright, so we'll hit assign interfaces and we'll see what it does. They're all down apparently. That's wonderful. Auto detect. Connect the WAN interface now and make sure the cable is up. No link up detected. Well, that's kind of stupid because guess what? It's on. So, unless that's broken, should we try it again? Let's try it again. A. Enter. No link up. What's wrong with you? Okay, I'm going to have to figure it out manually then because it's just stupid. Well, that was entertaining. So the keyboard that I have hooked up to this machine, which is right here, and it won't be in a second because half of it seems to not work, which is really useless. I was mashing on the 2, so the keyboard was right here, and I was mashing on this 2 key, and all of a sudden, poof, the power supply exploded. Now, I don't know if it was something in the power supply or what happened. I don't know if there's anything that you can see in there that's obvious. But as I remember it, this was the power supply that blew up when it was in the rack, or something inside it exploded. Probably dust or whatever. I'm going to take the hint that this power supply has probably got something that's shorting to the chassis, and I'm going to just toss it, because it's a piece of junk anyway. Like, it's a featherweight piece of crap, like really it is. So that's no good, so I guess I'm going to have to replace that, and I'm going to have to hope that it didn't take out any of the components on this board. What it did do is it tripped out every single UPS in this room, and in fact, this one down here, it actually made it fault out, which I guess makes sense because it was plugged into that. So, but that one tripped, it's back on, that one went, I think it's back on. I don't know about the one back here, which you might be able to see the light on. But it's back on, it didn't fault out. This one over here is off. So I'm assuming that everything is back the way that it should be. You know, the server's back on, my network is back up, so... Because it's on this UPS over here, so when that faulted out and dropped the load, well, all the stuff that was in there that was on it is gonzo. Anyway, so that's fun. Guess we're gonna have to figure that out. Yet more delays. Okay, back in business. I managed to change the power supply. And I've figured out the MAC addresses. Oops, that's not what I want. For the various devices, which, as you can clearly see, is wrong. Well, actually, the MAC addresses are right, but the interface assignment is wrong. So, don't know what that's all about. So the one I want is EM2 and EM3. Apparently the PCI card... Oops. Nothing is finished. So there should be no VLANs. EM2 is our WAN interface. EM3 is that. XL0 should be our OPT1. OPT2, I don't think it really matters. I don't even know which one's which. So we'll just set it up that way. Proceed, go. Now we'll see what happens now. Might take it a little while because it's now got 5 interfaces to configure instead of just 3. Alright, so that's all configured now. Just the way it should be. So, I'm going to go in and figure out all of the various details for this system. Probably run updates and all that other stuff on it too. Well, I've had to reassign the interfaces again because the realization then hit that with this set up this way, EM2 would correspond with EM1 on the other machine, and that won't work. Just in that sense. The way I'm describing it really probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense to the network aficionados, but I think you know what I'm trying to get at. These identifiers have to match up with the identifiers in the other machine. So I need EM1 for the WAN, I need EM2 for the LAN, XL0 for the 1, EM0 here, and the other one doesn't really matter, I don't think. I guess we'll find out shortly. Or, well, within the next couple of videos, more than likely. But I want to get this all configured first. So this is good on this front. So this thing is probably ready to go in the rack right now. But of course, before I do that, I need to run updates. Because this is running an older version. And, well, that will need to be updated. So this should, in theory, run a system update. Everything should work. even though it's going on my firewalled network, it should be fine. Does mean I'm probably gonna have to start buying some more network cables, because I like the newer ones because they're small enough. I can buy the 2-foot ones that I actually can, you know, I don't have all this excess cable dangling all over the place in that closet. So anyway, there's some power related things I need to figure out, and there's probably other things as well that will need to be determined. But this is going to take forever, so I'll let this do its thing and then I'll come back. Okay, hardware setup is done. The machine is there. It is doing what it's configured to do so far, which is to say basically nothing. And that should be that way for a little bit at least. I do need to get a couple more pieces. I need 2 more network switches, and I'm probably going to replace this 5-port switch up here, which is right now acting as the WAN switch. I don't know if you can get 3-port switches. That's what I would like to have. I don't really need a whole 5-port switch, since 2 ports are just going to be wasted anyway. So we'll see what we can do, but I'm going to need 3 of those. At least 2 of them, because I need one for the OPT1 network and one for OPT2. Of course, the only thing that's hooked up to that is this, and what I might end up doing is using that 5-port switch for that, just on the off chance that I end up with more backup servers or such. And the battery on this camcorder is really dying for no reason, so I think that's it. It's up and running. Stay tuned for software setup when we set up the CARP and all of the other nonsense. I'm sure that that's going to be real entertaining.